Welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob and I'm the host of this one-man show coming to you every Monday at 6 a.m. UK time. Today we're talking about something there's several topics that I want to talk about because I feel like this past weekend specifically has been quite the chaos in the pop culture scene. So take this as another returning segments of pop culture roundup. From music to politics to business to Hollywood to new video games, pop culture has been taken by storm this past week. Something just ridiculous. I mean, the most ridiculous news that has happened this past week has been the Warner Brothers, Paramount, Netflix situation, like bid war that has ended with Paramount winning the bid, which is actually unexpected. Unexpected, I guess, if you don't know the behind the scenes of this and like who is associated with whom. But I think I want to go through sort of like with that. What are the connections? What's going on? What does it mean for Hollywood? What does it mean for pretty much also us, the consumers, and whether this is going to be a good or bad thing for Hollywood, I think. Like my personal opinion at least. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on into that. I also want to talk about a personal favorite topic here is the BLACKPINK comeback. BLACKPINK is back, and that is an historical event because they are, I think, the biggest pop, girl group in that sense at the moment, globally at least. Their reach is just, I mean, it's just ridiculously cool the way this has been playing out even this past week. It's just a big sign of their influence, I just say. And then, of course, I want to talk about Pokémon, the video game, the new Pokémon video game. I rarely talk about video games on here, but sometimes, the video game space is just like, very, very prolific. And I think it does always end up capturing everybody's attention eventually. And Pokemon is no exclusion to, Pokemon is a very recognizable brand, and they have just announced their 10th generation game. Big deal, especially now that the Nintendo Switch 2 is out. This is their first release on the new console. So there's a lot to be talked. There's a lot there in terms of like also the memes that came out of it, of the trailer, and they announced they dropped the trailer for the Pokemon Day that was this past Friday. Just a lot of interesting stuff. It all mostly happened towards the end of the week, which is very interesting. But we got to go through all this. I do want to start off with the Warner Brothers situation. I think that's the one topic that really is needing to get. I need to get it out of the way because I think it's the more serious one and the most depressing one, and I do want to leave the better, the more lighthearted ones towards the end. So what happened? I did make a couple of episodes I think about this already quite a while ago. I do think it's important. Maybe you guys can go and listen to those for context and for continuity, I guess. But the main strand of information that we received was that at the time Netflix had offered, I think, something around like $80 billion to buy Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has been on sale for a bit now, and there were three main proponents here, three main interested buyers, and one of them was Netflix, and the other one was Paramount, and the third one was Comcast, which owns Universal. Anyways, the original bid war, was originally won technically by Netflix, but Paramount in the span of the past few months, while the Netflix deal was waiting to be approved by the government, Paramount had been trying to buy Brothers off. They were trying to outbid Netflix. They were just basically throwing money, raising their prices, their purchase, and it was just a ridiculous amount of money that just eventually got so big that Warner Brothers got interested in the Paramount offer and did, in the end, give in. And now Warner Brothers is being bought by Paramount, which is ridiculous. For the price of $111 billion, something like that, they went around and offered different amounts first to the stakeholders, shareholders, sorry, and basically what happened in the end was just practically, hey, the best deal won. So that's just the way it is. Now, what does this mean, I guess, for Hollywood? I mean, the two choices were actually quite bad, if I have to be honest, for the future of entertainment and everything else. Netflix, on the one hand, was offering to basically, it was a risk, I guess, lurking in the back with the promise of just taking. Well, they did promise, technically, to be fair to them, that they would keep the theatrical window intact for Warner Brothers, but I doubt it would have been, held up for long in that sense. It would have been definitely discarded eventually, and they would have moved mostly to streaming. So the threat that Netflix was posing, I guess, for the industry was mostly ending a big studio's theatrical power in that sense, and just moving everything to streaming, and just ending in general, posing a big threat to the industry overall and theatrical releases, which has been a phenomenon that has definitely been going on for quite a bit, ever since COVID, at least, even more. COVID definitely accelerated things, and it's a big problem that I've talked about countless times. Definitely also go check out those episodes about that. But that was Netflix's most threatening, I guess, side of for at least the consumers and the industry overall. Now, as for Trump and the government and the administration, what really transpired eventually, because of how the Paramount deal went through in the end, Netflix was a threat for Trump, because he believes that if he approved this deal, CNN, for example, would have stayed untouched, because Netflix wasn't planning to buy the whole conglomerate, but just the Warner Brothers Studios and HBO. He would have left the news outlets and everything else in the conglomerate to its own devices. And Trump wants to get the media on his side as much as he can, and by therefore having Netflix not buy actually the entire thing, and not having a say on Netflix's deal in that sense, you are not being able to actually actively control CNN as well. At the moment, Fox is the only news outlet that is fully pro-right, but CNN would have been, it has really been pretty middle of the road, CNN, if I have to be honest. But Trump really wanted to get a hold of that. Plus, the other big problem here, I guess, for Trump would have been to have a studio that is already pretty liberal, like Warner Brothers, end up in the hands of Netflix, who seems to have a big relationship to the Obamas and is deemed by the MAGAs as too woke to begin with. So I feel that while the Netflix had a very big purchasing power, and Trump does have some stocks in Netflix, I think, politically at least, and also receiving pushback from the industry itself, by also maybe famous directors like David Cameron and all these people, Jimmy Cameron, sorry, Jimmy Cameron. He had a double, I guess, a double threat that was posing to both the industry and the government. And let's say that the industry and the government came together, because they don't. Usually, Hollywood is pretty left-leaning anyways. But I feel because the nature of Netflix itself being a streaming platform would have definitely stabilized the entire industry. I feel the deal, while it was first accepted for Netflix, and because it was very attractive and Netflix had a big purchasing power, it would have, ended up, I believe, getting pushed back by the government anyways, in the end. So, yeah. it was an uphill battle for Netflix to begin with, I guess, in the end. While Paramount, in the end, instead, has two advantages over Netflix that cover these two areas. Paramount, first of all, is already a studio, so that's definitely a more, I guess it makes it the better option for the industry in that sense. And what's even better for the government in that sense at the moment is that Paramount is very much affiliated to Trump. Like the Allisons, the ones who own Paramount at the moment, are closely related to Trump, very closely related. So, I mean, like, and the option basically, the bid that they put is to actually buy the entire company, not bits and pieces like Netflix was. So that would also include, of course, CNN, and having CNN under Trump's affiliates in that sense just means basically CNN be controlled by Trump, and especially because of the midterm elections coming really soon. I think Trump wants to get this deal sorted with Paramount as quickly as possible so that he can actually actively dismantle the leadership at CNN specifically. And then, of course, there's also several different interests at play. One of them was, of course, Trump made it clear that on what party was, which of the two sides he was siding with. And it was definitely the Paramount one, because he did ask for one of the Netflix's board members. Yeah, he asked for that specific board member to be fired, or the deal wouldn't have gone through. And I think also Taz Randos, who's the CEO of Netflix, did meet recently with the Department of Justice and Attorney General Pam Bondi. And it was very clear, I think, from the very recent exchange that they were facing an uphill battle. They were not. No one was happy in terms of none of the Republicans wanted to have the deal go through for all these reasons. Plus, it seems it's just like what the Republicans and the right wing is really craving at the moment is to have an access to media outlets. The pop culture specifically. Pop culture has always been left leaning, and I think that there is just inherently going to always be left leaning. If to be honest, I mean, you can see the move that they're trying to do ever since Twitter was bought. For example, what's his name? Elon Musk wanted to infiltrate Twitter because he wanted to have control over something that has always been very liberal, and he did manage to kill off the vibe there. And then recently, I would say another point of this, even though it may seem completely unrelated, but also the Nicki Minaj, MAGA Minaj, of Nicki Minaj is just like another sign of Trump trying to, Nicki Minaj being so closely now associated to Trump, with Trump, is just a big sign of Trump trying to wanting the right wing in general, wanting to permeate the pop culture as much as they can, because they know that there are voters there. That's the bigger reason for it all. Like, usually pop culture, young people are mostly left leaning anyways. But I mean, as it has happened with Twitter, and as it has happened with the Nicki Minaj situation, we're still biting back. We're still fighting back, actually. We're still not caving in, and we're rejecting, basically. We're not buying it. We're just not, we're not happy with it. So we're just leaving these people in the dust. I mean, even Twitter in the heydays used to be such a transformative space where so many people would be on, and it would be very, very interactive. Now it's a rage baiting app that is focused mostly on engagement, and no one actually there makes a valid point. I see a lot of misinformation on Twitter, a lot of disgusting stuff going on. So yeah, I mean, this is a bigger project. It's not simply about Hollywood or Warner Brothers, or it's partially, of course, about the money. Several people are getting rich out of this, but it's also a bigger political strategy here to permeate media and pop culture as much as possible. So what are the risks, I guess, now, because Paramount is on that side? Paramount, as I said, is actually very right-leaning, and so people are actually very scared that they're gonna transform Hollywood into like a right wing propaganda system. And I mean, it's not out of the equation, but I feel like because the way the business is set up, this deal specifically is going to create sort of like a right wing sphere in that sense. Not to say that they're gonna be dominating. The right wing is gonna be dominating movies anytime soon, but there will be a more stark divide between, like, for example, the other competitor at the moment, basically with the size of Paramount and Warner Bros. Combined at the moment. The two main players, let's just say at the moment, but if this deal actually goes through, which is pretty much guaranteed that it will, is Disney. And Disney has mostly taken the side of the left. So I think it's just going to be a scenario where movies are going to be either pitched to Disney or to Warner Brothers Paramount moving forward. And the smaller studios are going to slowly disappear. They're going to be able to compete, which is also very scary situation. And you're going to have, talent having to divide themselves between two studios, which is just very non-competitive. Eventually, it's going to be very, very bad. And you're also going to see way less movies, because if most studios now are disappearing and it's just going to be mostly two major studios, they can only put out a certain amount of movies per year in that sense. So yeah, I mean, I think overall both either way this was going to go, it was going to be a bad deal for the consumers in the long run, and for the industry and the artistry of it all. So it's just not looking good. It's just not looking good, my friends. So I feel like the only way we can, like, really go about it as consumers is to just reject to go and see movies, like at least from this side. I mean, the Allisons are actually, very rich people that actually don't care about morality of whatsoever. They are actually making a very specific point of, like, employing quote unquote cancelled talent because they don't believe in being in cancel culture. And I mean, partially it's correct, but also, how do you comfortably push forward and support people who have done the worst things ever? Like, I'm talking about people who have sexual harassment charges, sexual assault charges against them, violence, domestic abuse, all these people, all these actors and directors and producers and all that stuff that were shunned out of Hollywood for a reason are now being hired on the Paramount because they are cheap talent now. So yeah, it's looking grim. It's not looking good at all. So yeah, I mean, I would boycott. I would honestly boycott, and I'm actually very scared because, like, I also HBO and Warner Brothers have been for the longest time a very liberal and very left leaning source of content. I mean, HBO, for God's sake, is the house of, like, shows like Euphoria and House of the Dragon. I mean, very progressive, many progressive shows. I mean, they have the Heated Rivalry on HBO. HBO is distributing shows like Heated Rivalry. Can you imagine Heated Rivalry like being put on something like Paramount? It's gonna be impossible. Just ridiculous. They're probably not even going to, like, green light any of these projects moving forward. So very sad times. Yeah. So let's just switch topic to something a bit more positive, I guess. Let's talk about BLACKPINK. So they finally, after 4 years, have come back with their highly anticipated EP Deadline. Now, I do think, I do want to bring my criticisms first. Very bad marketing, very bad rollout. Like, literally, they released Jump a year ago, like, not a year, but before they set off on this tour that was sort of like set up to be a tour about a new album that never came. So they released Jump, then did a tour with their solo stuff and the new stuff and old Blackpink songs. But then eventually we got this album that contains Jump as a song and has 3 other tracks. So we're not getting that much new material. What's new? It's YG, it's Blackpink, it's the usual. Actually, it's Blackpink, period. It's just the way their brand works, and at this point, like, you cannot even blame YG, because if you look at the other groups, they are pumping out content. Look at Baby Monster. Look at Treasure. They're releasing music quite consistently and with a lot of tracks as well. So it's definitely. I think you would be a fool to just blame the label for this. It's actually Blackpink and how they want to sort of approach their brand. They've always done the strategy of like less is more in that sense, and less content, content for more quality and less stuff. And you know what, like, people, as much as you would like to complain about it, they are still the shit. Like, that's just the way it is. They are, and this comeback actually has proven us even more than that. Like, they are actually not trained. They are the trendsetters, not trend chasers. Like, we all thought after. Well, I mean, they dominated third generation for the longest time, setting up this new trend of back in the days of girl crush concepts. It was just they were dominating, and then and usually with K-pop, like, when generations go by in that sense of artists, you see the older ones, of course, fade a bit more into the background, and you would all thought also with the solo projects that they would not be able to maintain a chokehold on the culture as much as they used to. And guess what? They did it again. Like, they sold 1.4 million copies in pre-release, which is their highest, first of all, but also the highest number for a girl group in Korea, which is insane. Like, these numbers are just like, they are powerhouses. Like, it's just like so cool. And on top of this, they came out with a new sound. I think a fresher sound and a more unique sound as well. That is not trend chasing actually at all. And I was actually thinking about this as well. And they did actually set a new trend once again with Jump and well, Deadline as well. But Jump, for example, is this interesting like rave. They seem to have gone for like this rave type of music and genre for this comeback, even with Go, sort of. But Jump specifically combined like some sort of country elements and western, like like old Wild West sort of vibes with the rave music, and you can see, and like you can see this in the most recent comeback by IVE, for example, with Bang Bang, which, by the way, is an incredible song, but it does seem inspired a bit by Jump. So my girls are always going to be the shit, and they're always going to be the trendsetters. That's just the way it is. And it just really solidified to me in my brain that what really makes them stand apart is that they never actually are trend chasers. They've always been trendsetters since the beginning, and they are very, very creative people behind the scenes. That whether it's the girls. I mean, we have also been proven it is the girls. If you've seen how their solo projects have gone, specifically, I'm talking about Johnny. I had the realization that she is sort of the main force behind Blackpink. Like, the way she brought in Diplo from her project into the the Jump production. He produced that as well, and then just in general, I feel like the vibe, the type of chic energy, just the allure and the mystery behind it. It's insane. Like, it's actually insane. I mean, I'm not saying that Jenny is the only one who did it. I mean, I think all the girls bring something to the table. There's a certain swagger that Lisa brings, and there's, certain sounds. And Rose is definitely on the musical side, and Jisoo is also very much able to lead the girls. And it's a collaborative effort at the end of the day. But it seems like it is collaborative effort that it culminates in like ultimate taste, if that makes any sense. Like, they know what they're doing, basically. They're very aware, and I'm always very happy to see my girls win. I mean, people are complaining about not them doing like incredible numbers on YouTube in terms of viewership, but it's just I think a more general trend of how we're not, like, YouTube views are never gonna be, music videos are no longer hot. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. And it's not simply them. Like, Taylor Swift cannot pull these massive numbers as she used to pull on YouTube back in the days. And even still, I think like it's just where streaming numbers is where it's at, like on music platforms, and how much you sell in terms of album sales and all of that. And they're still beating their own records. So I think it's just really cool and very impressive. Like, I think I've seen some tweets about this as well. Like, if you compare their numbers to other third gen groups from the main companies like Red Velvet and Twice, who are nowadays doing like 100k 200k of sales, they have done 1.4 million. They've set a new record. Like, they are dominating. So I'm glad. I mean, Go, I have to be honest, it's a very cool song. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's such a different vibe for them as well. It's definitely not like a very straightforward song, but it is a vibe. I really enjoyed the last bit, specifically the chant and the 808 in the end. It was just ridiculously good, and I just really liked the video quite a bit. Very artistic, very different for them as well. And it is a song that is quite fresh, and just because of that, simply because of that, I need to give them the flowers. I think it's something that the more you listen to it, the more you get used to it, and it's really, really cool. They have Circuit working on it, which is insanely good as well. So yeah, I mean, kudos to my girls. Go listen to the mini album Deadline. Go listen to Go watch the music video for that. They are the shit. Now let's end this discussion with Pokemon Winds and Waves. Now, for the Pokemon Day, that's usually, it happens every year, of course, but for this year, we knew something was coming. We knew that some news about the new game, the new generation game, was going to come out, and Lord and behold, we did get a trailer. And we got a lot in this trailer. Rumors and leaks about this game have gone out. Have been going on for quite a bit, but we got final confirmation that it is actually Winds and Waves, and the graphics are just incredible. Like, it looks like such a huge step up from the previous games. I mean, it's also going to be the first exclusive game on Switch 2 of the Pokemon franchise, so that's amazing. But also, what I find really, really interesting is that it just looks like the concept itself looks like Paldea, the Hawaiian-inspired region on steroids, basically. Like, the look, at least, of it. Like, it's a very island adjacent type of like situation where like you can, but now here that because of the enhanced performance, you're going to be able to dive, go underwater, supposedly also, I guess, like fly maybe. That would be incredible. But yeah, I mean, it looks very, very cool. The graphics look incredible. People have said, like, you can actually see shades, and the way the shades work are like based on how close you get to the ground, and there's just like so many good elements that enhance the performance of it all. But I feel like, well, of course, what we all are wondering about is I mean, you cannot have a new generation without having the starters introduced to you, and the starters have created a ruckus online, a very positive one, I would say. Overall, I think overall the conversation is really cool and really good. People are just enjoying the content so much, but Pokemon seems to have a chokehold on a culture specifically because it's a brand that is always beloved by many people from different fields. There are straight people, there are straight guys, very how would I say, like macho people, the usual gamers that are very straight man coded that go to this game because of their memories and their childhood memories and all that stuff that they're attached to these games. But also that there's the other camp, which is like the girlies and the gays who are very much interested in Pokemon because it is a very, in some elements, queer coded game. There are so many queer icons in the Pokemons. Like some Pokemons are adopted by the communities and by the girls and the gays, like for their femininity and all that stuff. So, or like their cunt look, basically, let's just say. So there's a bit for everyone, and that's how you make a 4-quadrant franchise, like household name in that sense. So. Yeah, I mean, this is incredible. So, what are the thoughts on the starters? We got 3, of course, interesting Pokemon to look at. So there's this water gecko for the water type. Then we have the little Pomeranian for the fire type, and then we have this little chick, this little bird for the grass type. And I think most of the conversation has rotated around the Pomeranian one being like the cutest one of it all and being like the most talked about. And then of course the gecko got a lot of heat for I mean, many people loved it. The design looks incredible. That's personally the one I'm going to choose. I mean, for now, I always need to see the final evolution. But people were saying, how is it that all the Pokemon? I mean, some of the gamers were saying, how is it that water starters for the past few generations have always been queer coded or whatever? Give us whatever. Like it's like a more macho type of Pokemon. And I was like, we don't care. That Pokemon looks cunt. She looks incredible. Gakwa, I think, is the name of the Pokemon, but it just looks incredible. Now, the bigger question here at play is, what's gonna happen to the evolution lines? I hope Game Freak doesn't fucking do this again for this 3rd time. That gives us like humanoid Pokemon. We want Pokemon to be monsters. You can still make them cunt, but they cannot be standing on 2 feet and looking very human. Like, it's just not gonna look good. And if I have to be honest, the past 2 generations, in terms of starters at least, I've been very disappointed. Like, I think I've not felt any sort of pull towards any specific starter in the past 2 generations whatsoever. I mean, they all look like they have potential as first tier of the evolution line. But then their final evolution just completely ruined it for me. Yeah, I think we haven't had good starters since probably maybe Gen 7. Like Paldea to me was the last very cool gen where we had pretty iconic starters. Yeah, I mean like Rowlet, Decidueye, that was just amazing. And then you had Incineroar, who competitively has been the most used Pokemon ever. So yeah, that was probably the last big hooray. But we can only hope to get something a bit better. Like Sword and Shield, that was ridiculous. Then we had Scarlet and Violet. What the hell was that? Miascarada, like the little cat. The cat should have stayed a cat. The cat should have stayed a cat, please. So yeah, not a fan of that. Hopefully we get a bit of a better luck with this one. We'll see what happens. Legendaries, I don't know what to expect with that. People are saying maybe dolphins for that. I'm not sure. But there's one thing I do want to say before we finish this. Gen 10 is a massive accomplishment. 10 generations of games is just incredible. Please, therefore, give us a new evolution. I don't care if it's going to be 2. I don't care if it's going to be 1. Give us something. Please. It's been ages since we got a new evolution. It's been since Kalos that we haven't had a new evolution. Since Sylveon. We deserve a new evolution. And what better, way of giving you a new evolution than with Gen 10. 10 is a big accomplishment. Please give us at least one evolution, please. That's my wish. That's how I wish to, end this episode. I think the game is going to be amazing. I'm definitely going to be buying it, but I do look forward to seeing more elements. I want to see new Pokemons. I cannot wait to see it. Every new generation is just so much fun because there's always some Pokemons in the new Pokédex that just they become instant classic in our books. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. 2027 is when it releases, so we don't know exactly when, but it's gonna happen. I believe it's gonna be early 2027 because if they're already putting out a small teaser now, it's just gonna come out in a year's time, I think. So here we go. Now let's before we finish the episode, you have to hang on for songs of the week at the end of the episode. But before that, we just gonna have to pass the word to the sponsor for this episode. Stay tuned for songs of the week. Okay, wait. Speaking of, characters, main character energy, starters, and all that stuff, main character energy is, all about sunglasses, I think. I've been very into sunglasses lately. Like, not just blockiness on sunglasses, but I mean the kind that makes you look like you have somewhere important to be. And that's how I found Aquila. They're an independent eyewear brand based in LA, and everything is handmade in limited runs. So you're not walking around wearing the exact same frames as 400 other people. What I love is that they're unisex, super modern, but still timeless, and they're, a very important element to that, as well as that they're all plant-based, acetate and recycled materials, even the lenses. So you can get UVs on lenses, blue light lenses, or even prescription, which is kind of like elite behavior, but all also while supporting plant-based productions. And the price point actually reasonable for handmade quality. It doesn't feel like you're paying just for a logo. I've got you with the high exclusive discount for this amazing deal, so you can definitely get yourself a chic look for a reasonable price with even better an offer on a discount of 10% off anything on the site. You just have to go to aquila.la and use my code overshare pamphlet at checkout. I do earn a commission when you are using the code, so you're also supporting the podcast while you grab a pair of sunglasses. So honestly, spring is coming. It's time to become the mysterious person in sunglasses. Just go to, again, aquila.la and use my code overshare pamphlet for 10% off. Thank you, Aquila, for sponsoring this. We are back with Songs of the Week, and this is the new playlist for the month of March. You can just simply search on Spotify Overshare Pamphlet Songs of the Week dash March 2026. This is going to be the new playlist. For all the songs that I'm gonna talk about in the month of March. So first off, we have quite a bit actually, but the first song I want to talk about is Breakin' in Brooklyn by Doc Park. I absolutely love this song. I've been replaying it constantly this week. It's a very rageful song, very interesting. It just like has a different speed and vibe from in between like the chorus and the verses. The verses are very slow and swingy in that sense, slower at least and swingy, but then the chorus just gets very rock, like rageful rock, and just being fed up with the situation you're currently in. Breaking in Brooklyn, literally, like I'm breaking in Brooklyn, like you're fed up with what's going on in your life where you're at in Brooklyn at the moment. And I love how it keeps on asking in the song, like, what happened to losing control and all that stuff. So just such an energetic song. I mean, the composition of it all is just what really interests me the most, and the melody, very, very cool. Really, really like that, honestly. Now, then we have Debris by Labyrinth. Labyrinth just has that very distinctive sound, and it's definitely in this song. But what really, I guess, stands out for me here is just the production and just the very darker synths in this one. Just very almost 808 type of production. So cool. I just keep repeating the song just because of like how well produced it is. It's quite short of a track, to be fair, but it's a slay. It's a slay. I've never met her, and then we have by Ali Salort. Never heard of her before. This is the first time I encounter any of her songs, but it's such a good pop song. I love a good pop song, and this is it. And specifically, this is like more about I think lyrically it's very cool, very smart. It's about, you know, I've never met her. The her in question here is her past self. You know, she talks about this previous version of her that she's left behind and she has completely forgotten about, and she wants to have it. You know, she keeps on saying like in the song also like this that was then and this is now. You know, all of that. Incredible. So I'm very impressed with the song. So catchy as well. I love it. And then I mean, their last two songs, one of them is Go by BLACKPINK, of course, and I've already talked ad nauseum about it in the episode. But the other one I want to talk about is Casual Lady by Flower Love. This is not the first appearance of Flower Love in my playlists. Definitely not. So, yeah, I mean, I'm so ready to talk about her. Casual Lady is a very relatable song. Like, it's, you know, about wanting to play this role of being a casual lady, but basically being not actually that casual, like in dating whatsoever, you know, casual lady in terms of like, you know, casually hooking up with people and stuff, but you deep down or not that, like you actually fall for people and play a little bit too much in your head about possibilities and all that stuff. So very relatable, very cool, she has this very specific sense of humor, Flower Love, that I think is sort of in the same camp of Sabrina Carpenter. She's not like cheeky though, but she's more like funny and just very self-aware, which I really enjoy. I hope she makes it big this year. It's just amazing. So yeah, with that being said, this is the songs of the week for this first week of March. We are so close to the official spring, but it is already in my brain spring, and I cannot wait to have more days in the sun. Have a great week ahead. See you very soon, guys. Bye.